Off the limiter. Get on the gas. Those knobs are just saying, what is going on, dude? What are you doing? He thinks it is the second coming of Jesus Christ. Actually, he thinks it is the first, the second, the third, maybe even the fourth coming. Honestly, yeah, this is pretty freaking good. Let's get a nice slide going, shall we? Come on, Pan Am. Show them what you got. Woohoo! All right, folks, fine. I will ride Harley Davidson's Pan America 1250S? Pan America S 1250? I don't know. You guys know this motorcycle. It's Spite's preferred motorcycle. He thinks it is the second coming of Jesus Christ. Actually, he thinks it is the first, the second, the third, maybe even the fourth coming of Jesus Christ. If you've seen any of Spite's videos on this machine, you'll know that he has high praise for this bike. And I have actually never really spent much time on one. I don't go out to the Harley-Davidson press events. That's what Spite's on the channel for, right? I'm just kidding. I have not been to any of the press events. I have not ridden this motorcycle at all, really. I rode it a little bit in California when him and I went out to do the Versus 650 videos. He rented a Pan Am, and I kind of tooled around a little bit. But today, I thought it'd be great to do a proper, first ride and impression on this machine, because there's a lot to say about this thing, man. If you want full specs and detailed information and all that, we've got videos about that. Today is just going to be my first impressions on this machine. If you want detailed specifications and breakdowns on what makes this bike cool or unique, definitely hit the links down below and check out those videos. But otherwise, we're just going to have fun. And if you all wanted to see what your old Papa Yam thinks about the Pan Am, well, this is the video for you. Let's swing a leg. Let's get started. All right, so keyless ignition on this bad boy, which is cool. Nice feature, as you'll see. But there's some other stuff that's weird about this thing. That there's, it's supposedly feature rich, but some of the features are definitely missing, in my opinion. We're going to talk a lot about that as we get it on the road. I'll go ahead and start it up. You flip this down, and then you just press this down over here. The 1252cc V-twin fires up to life. I can't remember the exact degrees of it. I believe it's 65 degree V-twin. I could be mistaken though. This is definitely Harley's most hopped up, unique V-twin that they've made. 4-valve, liquid cooled. It's pretty spicy. You know, it makes about 150 horsepower, I think, measured about 130 at the wheel. We're in sport mode right now because, of course, we're going to go ahead and put it in road mode though, because we're on the road, right? We don't need to be so sporty. First thing I got to talk about is this throttle response. As you'll see here, I'll try to wick it up a little bit. It supposedly has good throttle response, you'd think. It definitely feels the need to be a little bit warmer before it does, but I just feel like it's a little disconnected, to be honest. And I think it does this thing where, yeah, you can't rev it out to redline for some reason. You can't rev bomb it, which is really weird. Clicking it down into first here, it's honestly, if you sit on this thing, you're not like, oh, this is Harley Davidson Sportster M8 stuff. This is super different than all the other stuff they have in their lineup. Really different. Now, I want to talk a lot about that too, because I can't believe this is the same company that makes the Sportster. And they can just make this. They just choose not to most of the time. But they've still got the very beefy, wide levers here. They're a little skinnier than the other ones, but this clutch lever is really wide right here. Clicking it down into first, though, you will be reminded it's a Harley. Check this out. Clunks into first gear, just like a Sportster, which is super funny. Taking off here on the Pan America. Clutch engagement is light, easy, simple. This bike actually has a brand new clutch fitted to it for some reasons. The press fleet demo bikes are usually beat up pretty good, and when I ever got this one back in California, the clutch was actually totally smoked on it, so Spite actually had to get the try to see if the heated grips are on. Spite actually had to get the clutch replaced on it. I trailered him out to a local Harley-Davidson dealership and had some work done on it too, because of course, when you buy a Harley, the first thing you gotta do is put it on a trailer and get it out to the dealership, right? Gotta get those punches in when I can, man. It's freaking sweet. Alright, so slow speed. This beast weighs about, I think, 550 pounds or so. And boy, it feels like it. There's no getting around it. This is a heavy motorcycle. And it's very top heavy too. I think it's interesting that a lot of people want to take these bikes off-road and do stuff with them off-road. And I really don't see the need. as you guys will see later in this video, I'm going to take this bike off-road a little bit, but I just find that due to the very top-heavy nature of these motorcycles, I think the whole off-roading thing on them is a bit of, adventure bike marketing. Like, this is not a bike, as I'm sitting on it right now, that I'm like, oh yeah, like, I want to go chuck this off some sweet jumps and stuff. But, I mean, I ride a Husky 501 and a motocross bike, it's KTM 250. I am definitely not the target audience for this thing. Certainly not designed really for me. Let's get a real tight one here. Nice, okay, that's not too bad. Really generous lock to lock. I'll show you guys here. Over something like an Aprilia 200. I mean, look at that. You got plenty of room to crank this thing over. Oh, I just stalled it. Of course I did. And then it does this weird thing where it doesn't want to start, and then there we go. Okay. Maybe if you had some better throttle response, I wouldn't stall you, right? Now, as I switch into second right there, you may have noticed I grabbed the clutch. That's because this thing does not have a quick shifter fitted to it. Let's give it a little jump, shall we? No quick shifter fitted to this motorcycle. For some reason, they decided that this bike in this category at damn near $20,000 didn't need a quick shifter. Not really sure what they were thinking. I feel like that's the biggest complaint of mine, the fact that this doesn't have an up and down quick shift and auto blip system. I feel like if I'm paying $20,000 for a motorcycle, it damn well better have one. And honestly, the transmission, like I said, you click it down at first, very Sportster-like. It really clunks into gear, which is kind of annoying. I have a hard time finding gears on this thing, man. It seems like it wants to really quickly and easily pop out of gear, which isn't the best thing in the world. But it's got a good amount of power, as you see here. Scoots pretty good. Now, I do like that people have actually put these on the dyno, because that does not feel like 150 horsepower, folks. I'm sorry, but it just doesn't. And I know I was in road mode. I was experimenting a little bit in sport mode earlier. It just does not really feel like a motorcycle that's pushing 150. I've obviously ridden plenty of bikes with a lot more power than this. I own a Turbo Hayabusa. Boom. Checklist on that video done. This thing, it's got a great amount of power, great amount of torque, but I really find that there's a lot happening between my hand and the throttle and what the engine is actually doing. I feel like when I crack it open, there's a lot of interference, and that's one thing I really don't like on super modern motorcycles, and especially this one from Harley, since it is their first at bat at making something like this. It leaves a lot to be desired in terms of the rider-to-bike connection. I feel like I get a very... There it goes neutral. All right. I feel like I get a very peculiar sense from the throttle to actual engine on this bike. And when you're off the gas and then back on it, also not the most confidence-inspiring thing. Now, we're going to do a dedicated little dirt loop section on this motorcycle, but I wanted to chuck it on this little gravel trail that we got up here. Just go up and back just to get a little taste of what this bike does off-road. Let's get it in off-road mode. I think that's off-road mode. There we go. Looks like there's a car up there. We'll be cautious. Go chuck it up here. Come on, baby. There's neutral. I swear to God, dude, this gearbox. Yeah, okay. All right. Now, it floats over stuff really nicely. I mean, it's got super top quality suspension on it. And you don't feel the weight as much as you would on a big bike. It definitely wears its weight pretty well. Kind of climbing over some stuff here. Yeah, like it definitely wears its weight well. It feels pretty balanced. It definitely feels like you could tackle some good stuff with this, but it's not really a motorcycle I would choose to go off-road with. I'm going to be completely honest. Even though it has like all the dirt boy stuff and all the crazy things that it has on it, personally for me, I just feel like 550 pounds off-road is a whole lot of mass, and it's just not that fun. let's put it in off-road pro mode, or like there we go. That's the one that'll give me a little more wheel spin. I was cracking open the throttle back there. Wasn't able to get the tire to squirm out a little bit. I want to play with this bike a little bit. There we go. Snap it in first gear a little bit, just zoot it up. Yeah, handles bumps and undulations very well. Feels a little sandy section here. And yeah, it's a motorcycle that does a very commendable job off-road. I think, again, for Harley's first off-road focused motorcycle, they could have done a lot worse, guys. I mean, this thing's pretty good, all things considered. And truthfully, this little gravel trail thing that I'm tackling here, it's about as gnarly as most Pan America owners are gonna get, if we're being totally frank. You know, a lot of Pan America owners they're gonna go down manicured gravel roads and just kind of see over the horizon type of thing. I'm sure there's some wannabe T7 Pan America owners that are tackling single track and they're gonna tell me how big and bad they are, but let's be totally honest, guys. Let's be realistic here. The Pan America is a motorcycle designed for the road most of the time. It's, I would say, a 90% on-road motorcycle, 10% off-road motorcycle. And, can't get into neutral. There's second. Hey, it is just like a KTM. Look at that. Can't find neutral. More like an Aprilia at this point. Second, first. There's neutral. Yeah, there are definitely some weird points about this bike, and you can tell it's a first-generation type of motorcycle. This is not a bike that I would really consider very polished or very put together. Again, this is just my opinion on it, you know. I think there are definitely some refinements that need to be done to this thing in order to get it to be competing at the European level. Oh my God, dude. You have to really stomp on it and like really pull up on the lever to get it to go into gear. I'm sure it can be adjusted slightly, and I'd love to do that because it feels like the shift lever is really far away from where my boot is. And that's probably because Spite was riding this thing with his off-road boots and probably gave himself some room on the shift lever. So I'm going to chalk it up to that. I'm not going to say it's the transmission. I'm going to say that it's probably due to the fact that Spite probably moved the lever around on this thing and caused it to do that. Going down the road here, kind of in a highway situation here. Wind protection is pretty good. I'm about 5'11", and this windscreen right now in its current position doing a pretty good job of protecting me against the wind. It feels really nice. Gonna try to move through this traffic a little bit. Excuse me, pardon me. Got a length for a little bit. Thank you. It's hot today, guys. Like 92 degrees. 93 actually, reading on the Pan Am here. And as I'm trying to read stuff on the dash here, I do have to point out that this dash is pretty hard to read as well. I'm having to really squint to see what the RPMs are, what this is saying over here. I don't know why I have battery voltage showing up on my screen. I do have tire PSI, which is very cool. I love having real-time tire PSI showing up on here. That's pretty awesome. That's a great feature, but overall, I'd rate this TFT like a 5 out of 10. It's pretty damn hard to read. I hope in the new versions and the new iterations, they maybe update the software and get it to actually be legible. Yeah, good amount of power, good amount. Cranking it in sport mode, not bad. So yeah, cruising down the highway here, click it up to 5th gear, about 70-ish miles an hour. Yeah, I mean, this makes sense as a transcontinental motorcycle. I have to say, I think the neutral seating position of these big adventure bikes really lend themselves super nicely to being a big transcontinental type of machine. I mean, Spite proved it, right? He rode it from California to Austin, did about 4 days straight in the saddle on this thing. Probably clocked in, I think, over 2,000 miles on it, because I'm seeing the odometer saying 3,500. I think we got this thing with about 1,000 and change on it. So yeah, it's a motorcycle that if you're really trying to buy something to go and explore the great beyond and really get out there on the road per se, I think this is a great choice. I think flagship ADV bikes are a really solid choice for those of you looking to do specifically that. If you're looking to ride 50/50 off-road, gotta go with the dual sport. This is not the right choice, and the marketing materials for this thing, you'd have them, I mean, you'd believe that it's like some kind of single track crusher type of thing, but it's really not, guys. I mean, you have to be realistic with your expectations for this thing. It is pretty crazy though. This V-twin feels very similar to a KTM V-twin, you know, a little bit of Ducati in there, honestly. Like the way it comes off the D-cell and the kind of clattering and rattling that it has, kind of Ducati-esque in a way, kind of KTM-esque, but the refinement just isn't there. Now we're stuck in sport mode here, and I wanted to see this for suspension test on this bumpy section. And yeah, like sport mode's actually doing a pretty good job of managing those bumps. And I know the suspension gets a little stiffer whenever it enters into sport mode. It's these jack of all trades bikes, man. It's these bikes that are masters of none, jack of all trades. It's supposed to have sport mode, off-road mode, touring mode, blah, blah, blah. And I just feel like you end up with a bike that doesn't really do anything that well. If we're being totally honest, guys, come on. I do feel like this motorcycle, you know, if you're trying to be sporty with it, you know, it's on these knobby tires, it weighs 550 pounds, you're kind of like, why the hell would I do that with this thing? If you're riding it off-road, you're kind of like, why the hell would I be doing that with this thing? I think it excels best when you're just cruising down the highway, which, hey, that's what Harleys are supposed to do, right? I think Harleys are definitely still designed, in a sense, to just cruise down the highway. That's what they do best, you know? I'm gonna go ahead and get around this guy. Give him a little friendly wave. Just let him know that, hey, I'm on a Pan America, so I can zoot over these speed bumps, right? I'm so cool. Now we're entering the sporty, twisty, curvy section of my little test route here, my mini test route that I usually run. And we're going to see what this bike's all about in the twisties. I have a sneaky suspicion that, again, 550 pounds, knobby tires, we'll want to run a, let's say, judicious pace with this thing. We won't want to really carve up any personal bests here on this twisty little Austin piece of pavement. Let's see, good to go, clear, clear, clear. Oh my god, if I catch one more neutral, I'm gonna kill myself. Alright, let's see if we can kind of get after it on this thing. I did this a little bit in Malibu with the Pan Am that we rented there, and it was pretty tough going, honestly. In the really tight twisty stuff, this bike doesn't really love it. Now, this bike does the typical adventure bike thing in that when you have the windshield up, you kind of lose your sense of speed a little bit, which is good when you're on the highway, not so good when you're carving up twisty roads and trying to have some fun. This motorcycle is maybe not the most confidence-inspiring thing whenever you're just cruising down your favorite twisties. But yeah, you really lose your sense of speed on this thing, and it's just kind of like hard to really gauge your corner entry speed. I mean, if I was going to kind of rip up twisties on it, I think I'd probably want to take the windshield off, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, like, it'll do it. It's on knobbies, guys. Like, I mean, it's pretty good for knobbies. Cruising with the Pan Am here. Front end feels actually pretty good, honestly. Spy was telling me that Kyle Wyman was ripping up that test track out in Arizona with one of these things, and I believe it. If you fit them with sticky tires, I bet it'll work pretty damn well. The front brake feels awesome, honestly. The front brake's got tons of bite, really good power. It feels really, really good. We'll do a quick little brake check here as this straightens out here in a little bit. Go ahead and just ash on that front. Pretty good. Yeah, not bad. Once you get over the weight of it, there definitely is a little bit of a goon bike underneath all this adventure boy patina. There is a motorcycle here that could definitely be down to have a good time. And, you know, that really makes me want Harley-Davidson to build a Bronx, to build something that's similar to this with the, you know, engine characteristics and the overall ergonomics package, because the problem with the new Sportster is it's just a little ergonomically compromised, you know, like it definitely has the same motor, I know that, and it's pretty sporty as well, but yeah, this is a little more neutral seating, so I want to goof around with it a little bit more, which makes it fun, you know? Yeah, once you're up and moving, the throttle response is fine. I think there's just like some of the slower speed stuff and some of the on-off stuff is not ideal, I would say, especially kind of poodling around the city, but, you know, doing some of this stuff, this kind of light, twisty road carving that I'm doing here, yeah, it works pretty well. Again, for being the company's first at bat, this is pretty impressive. This is pretty impressive that the company decided to make this, and they never really made anything like this before, and they were able to execute on it pretty well. There have definitely been cases in history, especially for automotive and motorcycle companies, where they try something and then, yeah, it's like a disaster, right? Manage expectations and it'll do it, but I'm definitely sensing rear wheel squirm. Get on the gas, those knobs are just saying, what is going on, dude? What are you doing? What are you doing? What is it about this thing that there's a sense of artificialness from this motor and this throttle? It feels fake, but why? Why does it feel fake? It doesn't feel visceral, it doesn't feel real. Maybe it's because it's on a stock exhaust? I don't know. There's something about this motorcycle that gives me kind of like fake engine noise in a car vibes. And that's a damn shame, because it's a pretty good engine, you know? Alright folks, that's going to be the twisty road section done here. We're now going to get this thing onto our little dirt loop and see how she does. I'm just going to poodle around with it on that little dirt loop, see if I can get the rear wheel to skid around and slide a little bit, have some fun with this motorcycle, and see what she does. Alrighty folks, we're here on the little dirt loop section. This is pretty representative, I think, of what most Pan America owners would trundle down and attempt. Again, your results may vary. I'm sure that you're an off-road god, but most Pan America owners are just going to do stuff like this. So I got the bike in off-road pro mode. That gives me some rear wheel slip, as you'll see there. Allows for nice little roost building type of things. Pretty fun. Quick down into first here, trying to ride it like a big dirt bike. Kind of working. Now, I'm really curious to see how this bike's going to handle the kind of rougher stuff, the real chunky, rocky sort of stuff that this little trail has. It's fun using the throttle to get this thing to steer a little bit better. Since it is so big, it's good to have it just kind of... Let's see what it does here. Okay, really doesn't get unsettled very easily. It actually is working pretty great. Fitted with a 19-inch front end. Good suspension travel. Yeah, honestly, this is pretty damn impressive, how it's handling its weight. I feel like it's just as good, maybe a little better than a big BMW GS. This is a section I wanted to see here. Little rock garden-y things. Just blipping that throttle, feeling good on this thing, man. It's nice. Works well. Let's shoot it up here a little bit. Nice. Yeah. Wow, that's a lot better than I thought it would be. That is a lot better. Let's kick it out here a little bit, sitting down on it. Yeah. Not bad, Pan Am. Not bad, dude. Yeah, for the kind of easygoing twin track stuff you're most likely to encounter on this thing, yeah, dude, it'll do it. It'll do it with aplomb. Smashing into bushes even, it'll take it. Oh yeah, slide that rear wheel, dude. Wow, that's pretty freaking good, dude. It's playful, it's balanced, it's working well over the rough stuff. Honestly, yeah, this is pretty freaking good. Yeah, it seems to really reward proper inputs. Like, it's not getting unsettled. It's not getting out of sorts. Wow. I did not expect that. Let's see this chunky section again. I'll slow it down here just to... Let's see. Yeah, that's really not that bad. Holy crap, that's pretty good. Yeah, it's not really getting unsettled. It's working pretty well. Let's get a big slide going here, shall we? Wow, that traction control is really just managing and manicuring that power. These electronics are good. They're really good. They don't really let you slide out of control, which I kind of want to a little bit. But come on, Pan Am, come on. It's just giving me a little bit, just manicuring, massaging that power. Just a little bit. That's really impressive. I want to see with TC turned off what it'll do. Wow, that is impressive. TC is now off. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. Let me slide it around, Pan Am. I kind of know what I'm doing. That off-road pro mode makes you feel like a hero, though. That's pretty sweet. That's really cool how if you just feed the gas in ever so slightly, it just turns around, it gets it done. Wow, that's cool. Wow, this thing works really well. I'm really impressed. I'm really impressed by how this thing's doing. Now, again, I don't know how I would do on harder things like proper like shelves and climbs, those sorts of things, but this section here, which is, again, most representative of what you're gonna do with the Pan Am, I'm really impressed. Doing very well. Eating up the chunky bits a little bit here. Not bad, dude. Alright, I think this section here, yep, gonna loop us around. Let's get a nice slide going, shall we? Come on, Pan Am. Show them what you got. Woohoo! That's fun. That's a fun bike. Good job, Harley. Well, it's a fun one. Let's sit down here and motocross it. Woohoo! Off the limiter. Yeah. Let her eat. Yeah, it'll do it, baby. Good job, Harley. It's pretty good. I wasn't a believer on the road, honestly. I wasn't. But it's pretty damn good. Just a little bit of gas on these tight ones. Wow, it just turns right around. Pivots on that point right in the center. Wow, that's nice. I'm having a lot more fun riding this than I did the big flagship BMW that I rode last year in Utah. This is working great. I'm purposefully choosing some of the chunkier lines just to see what it'll do, and I'm really impressed. Woohoo! That is awesome. If only I could figure out how to wheelie it, then I'd be set. I'd be sold. Sure, if I had a day with it, I could get the wheelies on it, but I don't have much time. All right, here we go. Here we go. Light it up, baby. Woo-hoo-hoo, that's fun. That's a lot of fun. All right, guys, that is dirt approved. That is impressive. That is very impressive. Let's find some shade, wrap up our thoughts, but not before we just frickin' rip it again. That is super impressive. For your first adventure bike, not bad, dude. Not bad, man. Wow, I didn't think it'd do this. Get in the shade so your old Papa Yam can cool down a little bit. Woo! Pan America. You are a beguiling, surprising little creature. Didn't think you'd do that. That just sounded so southern. Didn't think you'd do that. We're in Texas, boys. That's what happens. Wow, okay, so on the road, you know, I have a lot of qualms with this thing. It's kind of rough around the edges. It has some very peculiar quirks. No quick shifter up and down. Lurchy, weird throttle. I'm sure you could dial it in with the settings. I just didn't get the time today. Pretty good power. Not bad for the road, right? Like, considering it's a 1250cc engine, it's got the adequate amount of juice, I would say. It is not overwhelmingly fast by any means for a more experienced rider. If you've ridden leader bikes and flagship hyper nakeds and stuff, this is not going to scare you or anything. But off-road, this little sucker came alive. This little twin track here with some chunky rocks in the middle, some fun stuff. Wow, very impressive. Honestly, very impressive what it does, especially in off-road pro mode where it lets you get that slide, doesn't let you get out of control. I think for new riders, man, lean on that technology. That's really impressive. Really impressive the way that works. And yeah, honestly, I was going to give this bike like a 5.5 out of 10, but the off-road section really impressed me. And I think I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. How about that? Pretty damn good rating. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up today's video. Thanks so much for watching. If you are interested in chatting with me more about the Pan Am, join the Discord server down below. That is a great way to do it. I'm always on there fielding questions about all kinds of stuff. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you later.
Keep watching Yammie.